fighting for what we believe. Make this journey together, hand in hand. Will you let me join your story of future now and then? In the colors in the world we love and care. Rain and storms will make us stronger, fighting for what we believe. Make this journey together, hand in hand. Will you let me join your story of future now and then? In the colors in the world we love and care. Rain and storms will make us stronger, fighting for what we believe. Make this journey together, hand in hand. Will you let me join your story of future now and then? In the colors in the world we love and care.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining me online for this live conversation again. It's a work day, so I'm really thankful that you are joining me, and I'm very pleased to have with me Mr. Frank Phuan, CEO of Sunseap. And today we are going to have a little conversation, a little chit chat on this issue, on this topic, which is about sustainability, clean energy, and smart town. I know that there are many young people out there who may be very curious about this topic, and I hope that through our little chit chat here today, we're able to share more about what's installed ahead, you know, whether it's Macpherson or Singapore with you. So Frank, thanks for making time to join me for this dialogue. I know you're a very busy man, so I'm really grateful that you're here.
Yeah. Hi everyone, thank you Pei for inviting me to this dialogue.
Yeah, well, thanks for joining me, definitely.
Yeah.
So I have known Frank for some time, and I remember the first time we had this lunch meeting.
Oh yes.
Yes, right. So, and just to give you a little bit of context, how we got to know each other. As you know, I'm CEO of Business China, and this non-profit organization started in 2007. You know, it was because MM back then had this idea of how can we continue to cultivate bilingual, bicultural talents. And with under Business China, we actually have this program called the Advanced Leaders Program. And for Advanced Leaders Program, it is tailored is catered for young Singapore business leaders, so as to help them better understand what's the latest happening in China, help them understand the China market, bring them there to understand what are the opportunities, as well as avail to them the networks that may be available. And so I was trying to explain this program to Frank, and that's how we first know each other.
Yes,
right? So we
yes.
had that, and so
And I joined.
Yes, and coming up, yes. And of course, Sunseap is a Singapore company. It's very much a Singapore boy, Singapore homegrown company, and focusing in areas of clean energy and sustainability.
Yes.
It is also a very fast growing local company. And I think the valuation now is close to about $1 billion. Is that right?
Moving closer to that, yes.
Okay, so here we are. We are going to have a unicorn very soon, Singapore unicorn. I think that's something that we will have a lot of pride in. So, Frank, thank you. So, I mean, this is Sunseap is definitely up and coming. So maybe you can share more with us. What are the good work? What's the good work? What are things that Sunseap has been doing?
Thanks for that very kind introduction. So I think in this very core, Sunseap is very Singaporean at heart. In fact, my father started the business very early as I think 1979. So I literally grew up my whole life in the solar industry. All right. So we started as a manufacturing business.
So my co-founder and myself, we brought the business downstream. Started to sell solar as a service. We used to sell products, or manufactured products, solar panels, solar systems. Now we sell the energy. So obviously we can't sell energy at a higher cost. So we sell energy, in fact, at a lower cost than most market prices, right? So we are selling cleaner, and more affordable energy. So I think we got to thank the Singapore government for this, because our business idea of selling cleaner and greener and cheaper energy started 10 years ago, right? So 10 years ago, we started solar as a service. And this is together with HDB for the first solar leasing program. I recall the first one was actually in Congo, right? 40 HDB blocks in. This is in the year 2010, right? So nearly 10 years ago. So this whole idea was we have zero upfront for the customers in terms of the solar installation, and then energy that is produced from this system is then sold at a price lower than the market rate, right? So this means solar energy that's cheaper and cleaner and greener for the masses. Fast forward to today, we have almost 3,000 HDB blocks committed for solar panel systems to be on top of the roof of these 3,000 buildings, right? Total HDB blocks, in my recollection, is only about 10,000. So this means almost 30% of all HDB blocks in Singapore. But not many people sees it, and therefore a lot of people still ask me, where are all these solar panels? It's actually on top of rooftops. Almost 3,000 of HDB blocks committed. We have already completed about 1,500 to 1,600 blocks today. So all these 1,600 blocks of HDBs rooftop solar is generating clean energy. We are selling it to corporates. We are selling it to town councils. We are selling it to individual customers who buy energy from us. Today we serve about 8,000 customers.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yes. So I was always wondering, right, the whole idea of clean energy, since we can sell it to the corporates, the likes of Apple, Microsoft, right, which is cleaner and cheaper energy for the corporates, why don't we do it for the masses, right? So which comes to, I was just thinking, maybe we can do something for MacPherson.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, talking about that, I think it's a very good point, because, of course, I should reveal that sustainability is one of a very key pillar of my plan for MacPherson. MacPherson being one of the earliest housing estates in Singapore. When we were first a housing estate, we were 很前卫 when we were avant-garde. But of course now, actually looking at our estate now, we can still be avant-garde, right? And
Yes.
I was thinking, actually, given the maturity of our estate, if we can do something that can, ensure the sustainability of our environment, that would be most wonderful. We have generations of families living in MacPherson, so sustainability has to be a key message and a key thing in our plan. And you were saying, that it used to be that more of your customers were more corporates because they have the financial muscles, and the scale to do things. And for us, obviously, we are very residential as well. And so, talking about this, so maybe I can hear from you a little bit more about what you have in mind. But I think there's one thing that really it sometimes, it bothers me a little bit in that, when we talk about eco-friendly stuff, and people immediately will think, it's so expensive. It's for those who are more privileged, who can afford it. I take, for example, when I go NTUC and I look, at the toilet rolls, paiseh, but the toilet rolls, right? The normal tree fiber type of paper type of toilet rolls versus the bamboo fiber type of toilet rolls, there's a price difference. It's more expensive. So how can we bring this to the masses, to the normal ordinary citizen?
So actually what you just mentioned is a common myth, right? Is a common thinking that solar energy or renewable energy is more expensive because it's kind of regarded as more premium of sorts, right? I think that is not true, all right? So, or rather, that is not true since almost a few years ago. We have already achieved what we call grid parity. This means renewable energy here in Singapore is actually cheaper, right, and more sustainable than all other energies. All right. So, take for example last year. We did talk about solar energy being the cheapest form of energy compared to any other source in the whole world. All right, this is compared against traditional, I would say, cheap sources of energy like coal, hydro, right? So solar in the desert is even cheaper than this, right? It's even cheaper, but of course that's on a global scale. If you look into Singapore, what we have, the amount of sunshine throughout a 12-hour daylight, right? So whether is it rainy, sunny, or cloudy, I think on average we have around 3.5 hours of what we call effective sunshine. This 3.5 hours effective sunshine, sun hours, is able to generate enough power that is cost effective, right, to be competitive against your, I would say, your energy price here in Singapore. All right, so I would say energy that is generated from solar is actually cleaner, greener, and actually cheaper than traditional sources today, right? So it is not more expensive, neither do you need a subsidies to make it work, right? So in fact, we have been doing it for a lot of the corporates. So back in 2015, we signed a contract with Apple, all right, to actually produce clean energy across 600 over buildings, right, to sell the energy to Apple. So Apple today is 100% powered by solar energy delivered from us. We have also signed a deal subsequently with Microsoft to reduce their energy consumption reliance on traditional sources. So we're helping them to reduce their carbon footprint and be more sustainable. So today we have roughly about 8,000 customers. This is both big and small corporates, including residential customers. So customers who sign up with us, some of them actually choose a package to say, I want my energy to be 100% from clean energy, right? And this is I think this can be delivered from energy systems that we generate to the customers, right? Whether you have a rooftop or not, it does not matter, right? Because we have a retailer license to deliver the power there. More importantly, zoom back to Matheson, right? I think what we can do, and we are committed actually to kickstart an idea where we halve the energy cost for 100 families here in Matheson, right? This is done through clean and green energy, through solar energy. All right, so in the next 1 year, that we want to choose 100 families, that this 100 families should be of the low income, of the needy, and then we want to halve the energy cost to help them, right?
Wow.
And of course, this is a baby step, but I think this is the first step towards sustainability, not just clean and green, but more affordable energy, right, to the masses. Hopefully, this will start the ball rolling with other corporates joining us post this 1 year, and not just in Matheson and other parts as well for Singapore.
Well, thank you, Frank. I'm so glad that you're offering this. So I think this is the most exciting news. And to everyone who is watching this, I'm really excited over this because cost of living has been something that's on the mind of our residents, and and of course utilities every day we need it, and so if we are able to, let me repeat this, have Sunseap sponsor 100 families of the less privileged backgrounds, 50% of their energy cost pure 100% clean energy over 1 year, I think the amount that they can save is very significant, especially now during COVID-19. I must really thank you, Frank, because now COVID-19, we all know that it is affecting a lot of people, Singapore, around the world. But you know, when I meet my residents and they share with me the struggles that they have to face, and it pains me a lot to see my residents, to see you struggle, and you know, the financial hardship that you know, sometimes I see cannot be understated. So to have this, I think will be a great relief for them. And so thank you. I actually have a question. So you know, this is most wonderful news. So people out there, yeah. So I have a question, but I mean, this is just for this 100 families. What about others? You know, what's in it for them? Yeah, for the other normal households out there.
So we have been doing a lot of projects, solar projects in Singapore, and cater it for the corporates. I think the question was posed to us was why do you start with the corporates, right? The answer is really on bankability. So when we work with banks on projects, we actually look at financial borrowing from the banks to allow us to complete the project. So a lot of this resides on the bankability of our counterparty. All right. Say for example, whether is it Apple or Microsoft, right? They are, as our counterparty, they lend a lot of credibility to the banks, right? When we borrow from the bank, the banks are inclined to lend us. But if our counterparty is a resident, right, then maybe the bank will find difficulty to say a resident being a counterparty has a lot of credibility over 20 years. So that is, I think, the issue that we are facing. But I have an idea, all right? I always think that if Singapore government could aggregate demand, right? So if Singapore government could aggregate demand, especially for the needy, right? And Singapore government becomes our counterparty, I'm pretty sure the banks will more than happy to lend us to complete our projects, right? To generate clean energy and supply it to the Singapore government. And in return, the Singapore government can then use the clean energy that procure from us to then now sell back to the needy at a very low prices and pass back the discount then. I think that, however, today is not possible because the regulations doesn't allow for it. The regulation states that everyone with a meter, so you have a house and you have a meter, that meter, with a meter account, you have to buy your own energy. So it doesn't allow for aggregation. But if somehow that can be done, maybe if you are elected into the parliament, maybe you can tweak some of these regulations to allow for this aggregation of the needy, for example, to happen. And then you have the Singapore government as our counterparty, and then use that to pass on the discount to the masses. I think that would be a great idea.
Frank, nice try. But I mean, on a more serious note, I mean, if this is going to help reduce the financial burden on my residents, and yet promote clean and green energy, so that, you know, overall we contribute to the sustainability of Singapore. I think 是一举两得, right? It is one stone kill two birds. It's win-win. I'll be happy to do that. I'll be happy to, if I get re-elected, of course, to hopefully, appeal to the government to look at ways on how we can, enable this, greater use of clean and green energy, because it can have a real tangible impact, benefit on our people of Singapore. Yeah.
So actually, not just on the pricing of energy, because clean energy is, like I said, actually cheaper. But I think the whole sustainability angle of it, right? So I read the PAP manifesto. Right? I know that PAP has said that you will grow 1 million trees, right? 1 million trees. So over the years, in fact, Sunseap over the years, 10 years to be exact, we have build up systems, and we call it megawatts, right? So we have done it up to about 150 megawatts today in Singapore. All right, in the region is more, but in Singapore we have commissioned 150 megawatts worth. So the 150 megawatts worth, each megawatt, if you look into the carbon removal of from a tree equivalent, it is almost 1 megawatt is almost 15,000 trees equivalent. So we have done about 150. So we worked the math. We have also done about 1 million over trees, right? So hopefully to do more, and I think the whole idea is with more demand means it spurs more supply as well, right? So more supply means more carbon being removed from the environment as well. So that sustainability angle and the affordability angle actually go hand in hand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think this is a win-win-win situation, and in that this okay, to me it's very clear cut lah. Of course, first and foremost, I want to help my residents to save cost because you know it's I mean this COVID-19 is especially hurting them. But over the longer term, if they can save more cost, it means they can invest in other areas, even their children more. So I think that's great. And then at the same time, playing a part to save our earth, to you know reduce carbon footprint, I think that would be most wonderful. So okay, so that means hopefully after this whole this period of you know very fast paced activities, I think hopefully once we settle down, I hope that we can really work on this to benefit our residents. First is the 100 residents 100 households that will get the sponsorship, 50% of the energy cost, 100% clean energy for 1 year from Sunseap. And then hopefully from there we can benefit even more residents as well. So I think that would be most wonderful. Okay, talking about this solar energy, right? One very important thing is actually the infrastructure, right? The solar panels. If I want to get this from you, but I don't really see a lot of solar panels in MacPherson. How?
Oh, okay. So the government Singapore government actually has a plan to roll out such that you cover all HDB blocks as much as possible with solar systems, right? All rooftops. Currently, we are already at what we call Solar Nova 5. So the program is called Solar Nova.
Okay.
The government aggregate demands from various government agencies, including HDBs and other government agencies like MINDEF, MOE for the schools. Right. So I believe Solar Nova 5 has Marine Parade Town Council as part of the off-taker. Right, and I think MacPherson is under.
So akan datang.
Yeah, so I think
MacPherson.
whoever will win Solar Nova 5 will have of course the opportunity to install solar systems in MacPherson.
Oh, okay. So it's akan datang. Okay, I'm going to keep my fingers crossed and okay. But I got a question. So if you put solar panels on the rooftop, does it help to reduce heat? Okay, why I'm asking this is because some of my residents actually, you know, when I go visit, it's not just during this period but throughout the time. Especially residents at the top floor, then they tell me, "Wow, 很热 leh," because the sun, you know, shines down, bakes my rooftop, and then it's very hot for them. And obviously, with that, they have to use more aircon and all, and it's a bit expensive. So, will this help?
Yes, actually, because especially for the top level residents. So if you look into the solar systems on HDB rooftops, right, that is actually sitting on what we call a primary roof. So the primary roof has actually a secondary roof on top of it. This secondary roof is to mitigate the heat, right, from coming to the primary roof. Of course, that will cause the resident to feel that it's warm. So having a solar system on top of this primary and secondary roof is likened to a little umbrella, right, where you shield the elements, especially the heat, from shining directly at the primary roof structure, and that will actually reduce the temperature, right? Or if you have some studies have shown, if you put solar systems on top of a roof structure, it reduces the temperature by about 15 to 20 degrees.
Really?
Yeah. So because the heat, you know, under the direct sunlight is actually very strong. So it reduces it by 15 degrees. I think it will help to reduce the aircon requirement.
Degree Fahrenheit or degree Celsius?
Degree Celsius. Degree Celsius. Right. So it will help to reduce the energy requirement if you know to cool down the top level. This benefit is especially so for the top level residents. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think if we are able to do this, residents staying at the top floor, I think will be quite pleased. Because then they don't have to worry about, you know, being so hot, you know, like baking inside the house.
So this is an additional benefit.
Yes. Additional benefit. Yeah. Hey, talking about this, when we talk about clean energy, when we talk about using technology because I mean, basically with the advancement of technology and innovation, we are able to be more efficient, more effective, and of course greener. So I would think that as we move towards smart city, it is very much in line with this whole sustainability drive. So I'm wondering if Sunseap, I mean, what are you doing? What's
Okay, so other than generation of solar energy, we are also involved in smart metering. How do we get into the metering business? Is because we ourselves we need to measure how much clean energy do we produce from our systems. So from that requirement, we actually move into a new business of smart metering. So we have done up an algorithm, right? This algorithm is driven by AI. Right? So to calculate how much through a simple incoming meter data. So you have a meter, right? We will be able to detect the various waveforms under this meter, right? Data to look at what is the various loads that contribute to this total incoming meter energy consumption. Meaning to say, if we have a incoming meter data, we will be able to tell what are the loads that are under this meter and when is it being used and how much of it is being used. So in particular to a HDB block, so there are various kinds of loads in a HDB block. We'll be able to tell, for example, how much energy goes to the lift, right? How frequent is the lift being used? How much energy is it using? Or we'll be able to tell the same thing for the lights, for the water pumps, right? So I think this allows for various application. For example, predictive maintenance. All right, a town council then will no longer just depend on scheduled maintenance. So, for example, this is now a data-driven decision rather than a scheduled. Because the time is up, it's time to maintain. You send a crew down to maintain it. All right, so it will help to save resources. All right.
So just to clarify, does that mean that with predictive maintenance, I probably don't have to wait until it breaks down to go in to fix it?
Yeah.
I can maintain it so that I can reduce the number of times it breaks down and hopefully save costs as well.
For sure, for sure. Because currently, like I think the current methodology is all scheduled. So, for example, every month the time's up, or every 3 months you send a crew down to maintain. Whether is it used or not, there's no data. So if you have the ability to segregate all this data, how much energy goes to the lift, when is it being used, how frequent is it being used, you'll be able to tell, oh, this lift, perhaps because it is holiday season, maybe after the COVID, after holiday seasons, right, there's nobody using the lift as much, right, as compared to on the normal season, then you don't have to send in the crew. So that, if it's a scheduled base, you send in a crew, I think it is a waste of resources. All right. More importantly, like what you mentioned, since it's predictive, you'll be able to tell how much time has it been used, right? And put in the crew to maintain it before it breaks down. All right. Then you will not have the hassle of someone being trapped in the lift when that happens. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that would be quite inconvenient and scary.
Mm.
But okay, that's pretty cool. I think that would definitely be very exciting because we have many lives in McPherson. So so this whole thing about smart metering, I presume this would also apply to a housing estate like ours.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I think you mentioned that McPherson is one of the earliest estates here. So we look at how we can so-called smarten this whole estate with new technology like this, right? And I think more importantly, allow for useful daily application like predictive maintenance, right? And then data-driven decisions. So the councils that is managing it will be smarter as well.
Oh, okay. I like that. I like that. I like that. Yeah. So talking about smarter, what other things can we look forward to if we want to have a smart, let's say smart McPherson, smart town?
Sure. I think one of the very hot topics nowadays is electric vehicles. So EV and EV charging. So we have designed a very, very unique EV chargers for Singapore. This is, I think there are many EV chargers around. In fact, there are some already on the roadsides, in the shopping malls. But I think we believe that Just like how one will go back home to charge your phone, you will go home to charge your car. But the problem is in a lot of HDB car park, you don't find these chargers, right? I think firstly there is also an issue on where do you install these chargers, because there are not enough space, right? So we have designed a very unique charger to accommodate this. So if you look at the parking lots, in between the parking lots is this white line. This white line is only 10 cm thick. So we have designed a charger that's only 10 cm.
Really?
Right, the width is only 10 cm to fit into that white line, so that you can put it almost anywhere in between the parking lots, right? So that will also allow I would say EVs to EV chargers owner, EV vehicles owner to charge their car conveniently. Many have also asked, what about the cost, right? The cost, in fact, my mom drives an EV for the past, I think, 4 years.
She's very hip, man.
So we I can say this: EV, driving an EV, using energy to charge the car, I think you will save a lot in terms of compared to a petrol car, right? I think it's almost 1/3. The cost is only 1/3.
1/3.
1/3 of a petrol car. All right, or if you compare to
Petrol.
petrol consumption on a monthly basis. So maybe my mom spends about less than $50 a month on energy costs to charge the car today, right? So it's actually more affordable. So having this, of course, in hope that when we roll out this EV, I think EV chargers especially in Macpherson, right? So it's in hope that when we have this, it's like a socket in the wall, right? So you have this everywhere, and then EV vehicles owners will then charge their EV conveniently and affordably.
Wow. Thank you, Frank. I think these are very exciting products and solutions that you have just shared with us. And of course, I hope that whichever agency, that decision makers who may be listening to this, I hope I can choke first, McPherson choke first. But I know that for sure, for now, one thing is for sure, that Sunseap will be sponsoring 100 families in McPherson, up to 50% of actually 50% of the energy cost, 100% clean energy for 1 year, and that's a lot, especially during this time when things are really tough. Families are, there are many people who are struggling financially. I think this will be great help. And with all the other things that are coming out, including solar panels, I think this is something that we definitely can look forward to in McPherson. I would say that with this push for sustainability, for use of cleaner energy and cleaner solutions, it's a win-win-win, multiple win situation. Because first of all, obviously to me, if I can help to save costs for my residents so that they can free up their finances to invest in other aspects of their life, I think that's confirmed very important to me. And on top of that, to contribute to the clean movement, to ensure the overall sustainability of our environment in Singapore, and do our part for the world as well, of course, save the earth, I think that would be even better. That's a bonus. And to be honest, I want to say this also, McPherson, 52 years old as a community now, when we were first a HDB estate, I think we were considered as avant-garde back then, one of the leading ones with the HDB flats. And today, time has, 52 years have passed. If we are able to, make use of these smart solutions to smarten up McPherson to become a smart McPherson, I think we will once again be at the forefront of all the housing estates in Singapore. I think that would be wonderful. And to do this, we would have achieved many different benefits for our residents. Lower cost, more efficient and effective maintenance so that you can live your life a lot better and a lot more comfortably. And at the same time, contribute to the sustainability agenda. So I hope that this is something that I can work with Sunseap and of course all the agencies and different organizations to deliver this in McPherson. It will be a it is a process, but every step of the way, I think we'll put in our best effort to slowly but surely actualize this vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We look forward to working with you too.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
And all
Thank
the
you,
best.
Frank.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you,
Yeah.
Frank. Yeah. So all the best to you too.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
Will you let me join your story of future now and then? In the colors in the world we love and care. Rain and storms will make us stronger, fighting for what we believe. Make this journey together, hand in hand. Will you let me join your story of future now and then? In the colors in the world we love and care. Rain and storms will make us stronger, fighting for what we believe. Make this journey together, hand in hand. Will you let me join your story of future now and then? In the colors in the world we love and care. Rain and storms will make us stronger, fighting for what we believe. Make this journey together, hand in hand. Will you let me join your story of future now and then? In the colors in the world we love and care. Rain and storms will make us stronger, fighting for what we believe.